Have you noticed this? The older you get, the more tempting it becomes to bend just a little for a younger woman's attention. But here's the cold truth. The moment you start bending, you break everything that made you powerful in the first place. Because you're not supposed to chase her world, you're supposed to own yours. What I'm about to tell you isn't just dating advice. It's survival for your self-respect, your masculinity, and the way women, especially younger ones, see you. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what men over 40 do wrong and how you can flip the script without even trying harder. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on the content that actually protects you in this messy world of dating and psychology. Rule 1. Don't try to be her age. Here's the trap almost every older man falls into when a younger woman shows interest. You see her vibrant, playful, magnetic, and suddenly something wakes up inside you. It feels good, like a rush of youth pouring back into your veins. And without realizing, you start adjusting. You dress a little younger. You pick up her slang. You nod along when she's talking about the latest influencer or TikTok trend, even though deep down you couldn't care less. At first, it feels harmless, even clever. You think you're showing that you can relate. But what actually happens? You begin losing the very thing that made her notice you in the first place, your edge. A younger woman isn't looking for a man who mirrors her world. She has plenty of those already. Guys her age, boys still figuring themselves out. What makes you stand out is that you're different. You're steady, grounded, seasoned. You've seen life in ways she hasn't. That contrast is what makes her curious. But the moment you shrink yourself into her world, you erase that contrast. Instead of a man with depth, she starts seeing you as another guy trying too hard. And trust me, attraction dies the second you try to compete with her generation. Think about it. Imagine you're on a date. She says, "Oh my God, I'm obsessed with this 23-year-old influencer. He's so funny." Most men will fake it. They'll nod, pretend to know who she's talking about, maybe even pull out their phone to look him up just to stay relevant. But a man with frame, he leans back, smiles, and says, "I don't really keep up with that. I prefer conversations that last longer than 24 hours. Boom, one line. You didn't insult her. You didn't play along. You simply stood in your truth. And that right there is where respect is born. Because here's the paradox most men miss. The less you try to fit into her world, the more she wants to be part of yours. Your age isn't a weakness. It's your edge. You've lived. You've failed, you've risen. You carry calm that no 25-year-old can fake. And that presence, that stillness, is magnetic. So don't throw it away by trying to be her peer. You're not her peer. You're her opposite, and that's exactly why she's intrigued. Rule 2, don't be her emotional sponge. At first, this one feels like connection. She starts opening up, talks about her messy breakup, her distant father, the stress of figuring out who she is. You listen, you feel her pain, and because you're older, wiser, you think, she trusts me. I'm giving her something, guys, her age can't. So you listen more. You answer midnight calls. You give advice, comfort, reassurance, and little by little, you become her therapist, not her man. The problem? Attraction doesn't grow in pity, it grows in polarity. When you soak up her chaos, you're not building romance. You're becoming her safety net, her reset button. And the brutal truth, women don't fall in love with their therapist. They use them, not out of cruelty, but because emotional outsourcing feels easy in the moment. She gets her storm out, feels lighter, and moves on, often to chase the guy who doesn't carry her baggage. Meanwhile, you're left drained, thinking you've built intimacy when really you've built dependency. A stoic man doesn't get pulled into chaos to feel needed. He doesn't try to fix, solve, or rescue. He listens, but he doesn't lose himself. Here's the difference in action. She calls you crying, frustrated. Old you would have said, "What happened? Tell me everything. How can I help?" But the grounded you simply says, "That sounds heavy. I hope you give yourself space to figure it out." That one line keeps you present but untouchable. You're there, but you're not absorbing her storm. And here's the irony. The less you soak up her mess, the more she respects you. Because women don't trust the men they can unload everything on. They trust the ones who stay calm no matter what's thrown their way. You're not cold, you're contained. And that containment is what makes you magnetic. Rule 3, don't chase her validation. This one stings because it feels harmless. You compliment her more than she deserves. You wait hours for her text just so she doesn't think you're uninterested. You soften your views to avoid rocking the boat. You laugh at jokes that aren't even funny, and you tell yourself, I'm just being nice, I'm showing I care. But underneath it all, you're performing, and performance kills attraction. Why? Because the moment you seek her validation, you hand her the frame. You stop being the mountain. You become the man orbiting her moods, desperate for her gravity. And women, especially younger women, have no respect for performers. They'll test you harder, pull away longer, even flirt with others just to see if you'll chase. Here's what you must remember. Validation is sweet when it's given freely, but poison when you chase it. Attraction happens when you don't need her approval, when her delayed reply doesn't shake you, when her silence doesn't make you scramble for attention. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Flip that. Care about your opinion more. When you do, you stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, you stop losing. Rule 4, don't try to impress her. This is where a lot of older men shoot themselves in the foot. They meet a younger woman, feel that spark, and instantly step into performance mode. Suddenly, every dinner has to be a grand event. Every conversation turns into a chance to flex achievements. Every silence has to be filled with stories of cars, business, travels, or connections. On the surface, it looks like effort. Deep down, it reeks of insecurity. Because here's the truth. When you try to impress her, you quietly tell her, "I don't think I'm enough on my own." That energy seeps through, no matter how expensive the dinner or clever the line. And younger women, whether they admit it or not, can feel when a man is performing instead of leading. Leadership and performance are not the same. Leadership is calm, rooted, steady. Performance is loud, flashy, and desperate. When she asks, "Where should we go?" you don't respond with, "Oh, whatever you like, I don't mind." That's a man giving away his frame. A grounded man simply says, "Let's do this spot. It'll be good." Not arrogant, not forceful, just sure of himself. That stillness is far more magnetic than any carefully scripted story. Here's a story. Tom, 48, divorced, successful. He meets a 27-year-old. At first, she's hooked by his presence. But then Tom shifts gears. Every date became a showcase. Lavish restaurants, expensive gifts, rehearsed lines. And slowly she started losing interest. Not because of what he offered, but because of what he lost, his natural center. When Tom stopped performing and started leading, things shifted. She respected him again. Because women don't fall for performers. They fall for presence. So let this sink in. Your job isn't to impress her. Your job is to lead yourself. If she's drawn in, it's because of who you are when you're unshaken, not when you're on stage. Rule 5, don't project long-term fantasies. This one is dangerous because it happens in your head before it ever shows up in reality. You meet her, young, vibrant, magnetic, and instantly your mind starts painting pictures. Vacations together, introducing her to your friends, maybe even walking down the aisle. You see potential, you see forever, but what you don't see is her. Because the second you start projecting fantasies, you stop observing reality. You stop paying attention to how she acts when she's upset, how consistent she is with her words, whether her values match yours. Instead, you start excusing red flags. You say, she just needs time, she'll grow out of that, she'll mature. But what you're really doing is falling for the woman in your head, not the one in front of you. And women can feel that pressure. When you start building castles in the clouds, they sense the weight of expectations. Instead of feeling free to be curious, they feel boxed into your fantasy, and often they'll run. Take Dean, 52, met a 26-year-old. Within 2 weeks, he was telling his friends she's the one. He rearranged his life, ignored the obvious red flags, brushed off her inconsistencies. 3 months later, she ghosted. Dean wasn't devastated because of what he lost. He was devastated because of what he imagined. He was grieving a dream, not a woman. Here's the Stoic approach. When you meet someone, remind yourself, this is just a person. Dating isn't fantasy building. It's observation. Collect data. Pay attention to actions, not daydreams. Because attraction is easy, but compatibility is tested. Don't let hope blind you to reality. Rule 6. Don't be her backup plan. This one stings. Sometimes you're not her main man. You're her maybe, her just in case, her emotional crutch when the guy she really wants isn't around. She flirts when she's bored, calls when she's lonely, vents when she's down. But when she's happy or distracted, you don't exist. And because you're patient, kind, and available, you convince yourself, if I wait long enough, she'll see I'm the one. But let's call it what it is. You're not her love. You're her landing pad. And the more you allow it, the less she'll ever respect you. Because women don't respect men who accept being second choice. They use them even unintentionally because the man is teaching her, I'll take scraps if that's all you give me. Look at Paul, 47, met a 25-year-old. They had chemistry, laughter, connection. But she never fully committed. She'd ghost for days, then come back crying. She talked about other guys, then leaned on Paul for comfort. And Paul, thinking he was building trust, always picked up. Until one day she called him her safe place. That's when he realized he wasn't her partner. He was her backup plan. So he walked away. And months later, she came back. But by then, Paul was different. He wasn't waiting anymore, and that shift changed everything. The Stoic truth, a man must never stay where he isn't respected. You don't need to be someone's second option. You're either chosen or you're gone. Rule 7, never lose your mission for her. This is the one that breaks powerful men the fastest. It doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly. You meet a younger woman. You feel alive again. And bit by bit, you start making small trades. You skip the gym for a date. You push back that business call to talk longer. You rearrange your mornings to match her sleep schedule. You tell yourself it's love, but really it's surrender, because the moment you start putting her before your mission, you lose your edge. And when your edge fades, her attraction fades with it. Women don't respect men who orbit around them. They respect men who walk their path with or without her. A younger woman doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to be a witness to it. She doesn't want to be your fire. She wants to feel its warmth while you burn regardless. Take Jordan, 45. Successful CEO, met a younger woman who was electric. At first, he stayed on his mission, but over time, he started bending, cancelled trips, skipped workouts, restructured his days around her. From the outside, it looked romantic, but inside, he was drifting. He wasn't showing up for himself, and she felt it. She didn't say it. She didn't have to. She just started pulling away, because the moment he lost his mission, she lost her respect. Marcus Aurelius said it best. A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. Lose your ambitions for a woman, and you lose yourself. Keep your mission, and no matter who comes or goes, you remain magnetic. Let's be real. If you're over 40 and dealing with younger women, the biggest danger isn't them. It's you forgetting who you are. The moment you start performing, bending, chasing, or losing your mission, you stop being the man she was drawn to in the first place. Your strength has never been about competing with her world. It's about owning yours. You don't need to be younger. You don't need to be cooler. You don't need to impress her with noise. You just need to stay centered in the man you already are, the one who carries years of wisdom, scars, and calm that no boy can fake. That is your edge. That is your power. So the next time a younger woman steps into your orbit, don't make the mistakes most men do. Don't shrink, don't chase, don't trade your mission for her mood. Be the contrast, be the mountain, be the man she can't move. Because the paradox is this: the less you try to be her world, the more she'll want to be part of yours. If this message hit home, drop a comment below and write, I don't bend for approval. That way I'll know you're part of the men who choose strength over performance. Make sure you like this video, share it with a brother who needs to hear this, and subscribe to Olivia Rose for more psychology, human behavior, and the truths most men never hear but desperately need. And remember this: when you stop performing for women and start living for your mission, you don't just attract her attention, you earn her respect. And respect is where real desire lives.